remain so fearless in writing some of the topics that we do because you're making
I miss you, Magelio. Could you say Ikoko Mirio? My love never die. No, no, I see moyo wangu unoramba uchifunza kuti why. Chigo, chinoita kuti chindi baya.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Nashe. So today I am joined by Danai Chirawu, and we are talking all things human rights, women's rights, feminism, purpose living, and everything to do with life. This is not one episode to be missed. So grab your notepads, grab your pens, and enjoy the ride.
But anyways, what brings you to Nashe's Corner Live? In this season of lockdown, I thought it would be good to bring together a variety of boss babes and boss men that I know, and to just hear their stories, to provide inspiration to people. So you're going to be hearing from different types of people. You're going to hear from, last week we had Michael Tabarade, who was an author, life coach. Hey Daisy, I think we can hear you now.
Everything is okay now. Everything is okay.
Yes, she did figure it out. So last week we had an amazing author, life coach on the series. He is now the video is now on YouTube. So if you missed it last week, please go and watch it on YouTube. And today we are joined by the amazing Daisy, and everybody's already saying, "Hey Daisy." Should we call you Daisy? Should we call you Danai? Because I'm a bit confused. What shall we call you?
Danai is fine.
Danai is fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, a little bit. I'm a lawyer from Zimbabwe. I work at Zimbabwe Women Lawyers Association. It's a non-profit organization that helps women with their legal issues for free.
Yep.
So that involves a whole lot of work, which some people may be familiar with. We write, I write in the Herald on Wednesdays. Some Wednesdays you'll see a column that says "Know Your Rights." You'll see our articles there. I go to court, and then we also do something called community legal education. So we go around different parts of the country, just teaching people about the law, what the law says, and how they can get more access to justice. As you know, historically, women could not afford to do some of these things, and getting a lawyer is really expensive. I mean, there was a time when it cost 18,000 for a divorce, 18,000 Zim dollars.
Wow.
And so, obviously a lot of people won't even be able to afford if someone's salary is $600 a month, so that's basically what I do for my 9 to 5. But outside of that, I'm very active. I'm a radical feminist, and I'm a part of different organizations and associations that are specific to issues relating to women. So I'm in Girls Not Brides, and it's about child marriages. In Young Lawyers Association Zimbabwe, which is an association of young lawyers who are just so passionate about the rule of law and respect for human rights. And outside of that, I started this year a project. It's not really an organization, but it's a project that I'm working on called Enlighten Girls Education, or EDGE. And it's a mentorship program for girls coming from low-income homes. The whole aim of this organization is just so that they can be inspired to see the potential of who they can be, because a lot of people have limited access to information, so they work from a point of less information, right? So when you just expose someone, you link them with a woman who's an engineer, you link them with an entrepreneur, you link them with a creative, it gives them that kind of motivation. And I'm imagining myself, like, if I was in high school and I meet this woman who's this boss, obviously I want to be like that. Yeah.
Amazing. Wow. Like there's like a lot on here, but then there's another thing that you haven't mentioned that I saw in your bio, and I was like, okay, this is a boss woman, which is that you were part of the Mandela Washington Fellow. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so each year the Mandela Washington Fellowship looks for like young Africans who are doing cool stuff all over Africa.
Like you.
Like me. Not just like me in terms of being an activist, but even entrepreneurs, you know, they're also a part of that. And then people who are into social development are also part of that. So you're assigned to different places around America, and you get to go to these universities and you network. It was really amazing. It's kind of very, very competitive. So it was crazy because they take people who are 25 to 35, and I applied when I was 24, and I wasn't really, you know, sure if they were going to take me, but they did take me, and it was cool. And I went to the presidential precinct, which is like that everybody's trying to, if you're in civil, if you get the civil society track, everybody would want to go to the presidential precinct because you stay at like all the American presidents' homes, and you have the most access, and you're like right next to DC. So for me as a lawyer, it was amazing because we're going to all these law firms, we're seeing all these cool things like an episode of Suits, but for women.
Nice. So, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet any interesting figures whilst you were there?
Yes, I did, but I don't think you might find them interesting. One of the most interesting people I met was Heinz Klug. He's part of the people who wrote the South African Constitution. I almost broke just from being in his presence, and he was so cool. So I worked so hard to impress the man, and yeah, he ended up talking to me. He's like, I like you, you know, I like your character and stuff like that. And I was like, yes, thank you. Thank you, Heinz.
That's amazing. That's so amazing. Like, you know what? I'm smiling ear to ear. And for the people that didn't know, there's a little bit of nepotism in this conversation today. Because it so happens that Daisy and I share the same bloodline. So my grandma is Daisy's great grandma. So there's like 2 generations of awesomeness in the house tonight. And like as we were like building up to this thing, I was just really thinking about like how proud like your great grandparents or my grandparents would be watching this moment, and it's just like such an amazing moment for me. So I'm trying to be really professional and not tear up, but like I'm just really, really, really happy. And so I was just reflecting on this, and I wanted to ask you this question. How do you think your upbringing, you know, like the upbringing that you had, the culture, the amazing family that you've had, how do you think that that's molded your career?
As you know, you would know, you know, our family is quite matriarchal. So we grew up around matriarchs, like the women in our family run things. So you know, it kind of gives you that platform to see women who are doing really cool things. Firstly, one of the like biggest and most funnest facts of all fun facts is that my great grandmother Gogo Chinoi was one of the few women in Zimbabwe in the 80s or whatever, 70s. I don't remember, but way back when she got a driver's license, right?
She used to drive buses.
Cool. She used to drive buses. And she was leading like guilds. You know, if you're Catholic, you're in a guild. It's like a committee, and you guys have the same purpose and stuff like that. So she was like leading it for Mash Central because she was from, let me not lie to the people, which province is Chiweshe in? Somewhere there. But she was like the head. She was like running things for guilds in that whole area. And besides that, most of the women in my family are quite dominant. So you kind of get to bloom early if you follow in their footsteps.
Yeah. Do you know what? One of the things that I absolutely loved about well, my grandma, your great grandma, was that she literally put education for the girl child at the top. And I don't know whether it's because she never got to have that opportunity growing up. But she always used to say to us, your education is key, and like regardless of your gender, you should be able to, you should have rights to an education. And actually she used to say your education is your first husband before your actual
exactly. That's a common statement, like education is your first husband.
Is your first husband, exactly. So it's been passed down to generations, and it's amazing to see that it's still going. Because so tell us a little bit. I know you did this a girl child, the story of a girl child, or an article around that. Like, what was that about, and like how does that kind of correlate with this discussion that we're having now?
I've written a lot of articles. Which one?
On the girl child, you said?
I've written about like a girl's capacity to consent to sex.
Okay.
Like legal capacity to consent to sex. Because at the time, so at my organization, some of the other things that we do is we go into court to monitor cases. So okay, I have to do this. Sorry, guys. So in Zimbabwe, in a criminal case, you don't have an independent lawyer. You get assigned a lawyer by the state who's called a public prosecutor. So as long as you're a complainant, you have a lawyer assigned to you. So it's not like we can represent these women who've been raped. We can't represent them in court. All we can do is to monitor their cases. So at the time, I was monitoring rape cases at Rotten Row, which is the biggest criminal court. And I was also monitoring cases at Chitungwiza Magistrates Court. And I was seeing all these things, some crazy things where some magistrates are talking about, there's a defense that says if a girl looked mature, you know, then it's a defense to say she consented because, and the guy didn't really commit a crime because she looked, you know, which is really, really crazy. And all the dynamics around sexual reproductive health. So I decided just to write what the law says about a girl's capacity to consent to sex, because obviously it's a power issue, and a lot of women and girls don't even know when it's a crime and when it's not a crime. If a girl comes home pregnant, they're probably most likely to just send her to her husband and stuff like that. So that's what I write about. I just teach the law, like simplify the law so that anybody who's listening can understand and at least pick up something from it.
Amazing. And you've got this platform, which is like the Herald Zimbabwe, like one of the biggest newspapers in Zimbabwe. But the way you sound is like you're unapologetic about your message. So like you like I know that in the like in the world that we live in, like it can be a little bit difficult to voice your opinion and not suffer the consequences of voicing a particular opinion. So how do you remain so fearless in writing some of the topics that you do, because you're basically breaking norms and cultural things? Like the girl child was allowed to get married at like in the at a very young age. It was a social norm to put your child up for marriage at the age of 13 or 12 or whatever. And then here you are, a young girl like yourself, and you're writing, you know, like breaking those things, breaking those social norms. Like, how do you get the courage, and where does the fearlessness come from?
I'm a wolf. Okay, anyways, that's besides the point. That's my spirit animal. The biggest thing that gets me going is knowing that there's so many women who are doing this. And there's so many women who've made a foundation for me, you know. there's feminists that came before me who did so many things, who already kind of opened doors and opened barriers. And I like to, you know, read a lot of content, and I'm inspired, you know, by there's no use in feeding fear. I remember one of my favorite quotes is something about there's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that people don't feel insecure around you. You're meant to shine, you know. So I don't feel that I have to downplay myself to make you comfortable, because women have been uncomfortable for so long. So why should we why should we be the ones, you know, trying to still make everybody feel comfortable when the world insists on making us comfortable? I don't have time for that. And I will not apologize for it. And these days, one of the biggest things I do is I pick my battles. I don't argue for argument's sake. I don't argue with people who want to argue about rights. I don't think it's an argument. We should have a discussion on how to implement and how to effect things, not to argue and say, but women are, if you travel, the good thing is my job has exposed me to so many different parts of the country, to the extent where I know the dangers of my own story. Like saying everything is fine because I'm a young person, I'm a lawyer, I'm doing all these things, when I know that in my central, the rate of child marriage is so high. I know that a lot of professional women are going through domestic violence in their own relationships. And I know the dynamics in families where women have to kind of hide. We always have those relatives that are constantly in domestic violence situations, and it's so normal. So no, we won't keep quiet. No,
we can't keep quiet. So what kind of advice would you give to somebody? Because like there's been this recurring theme over these last few weeks that I've been looking on social media, and in fact I see that with a lot of my clients as well, where somebody's got something that they want to say, something that they want to do, but they feel crippled by fear. What kind of advice would you give to anybody that wants to start doing something and they're afraid just because of any type? I mean, fear can manifest because of a variety of reasons, but what sort of advice would you give to somebody that wants to do something and is feeling fear?
Practice. Start small. I was so scared of public speaking. And I ended up joining debate club in uni. Like in university, I joined debate club, and I could barely get like 3 words out. I was so scared, and I pushed myself every day because I wanted to have a message, and I was passionate, and I was already the resident feminist on campus. So I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I have to teach myself. I think that you should do things that improve your confidence, and also just affirmations every day. If you're telling yourself, I'm not worried about this, you know, if I'm going to court today, I don't care if this is a senior lawyer coming, me and my client were winning. You know, you tell yourself these things every day. I think it boosts your confidence, and it's fine to be crazy and start off feeling a little delusional, because it works. You tell yourself something enough in your head so much, next thing you're living it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Practice first, and then you'll get to where you want to go. I think that's so important, because we live in this microwave generation where people always see the end product, and then they think, oh, you know what, it looks so easy. So if Danai can stand in front of like so many people to be a public speaker, so can I. You know, if Danai or if Nashe is an influencer, I can do it. But people don't ever see the work that goes behind the scenes. And I think that's such a powerful message that you're saying there, to say you need to put in the work, and practice is putting in the work so you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, you touched on domestic violence. You touched on domestic violence, and like in this season of like COVID-19, like there's been these reports about domestic violence has gone up. I don't know if it's the same in Zimbabwe, but all around the world I've heard that in certain areas the divorce rates and the domestic violence rates are going up. What advice would you give to somebody that's going through that right now?
That's a very difficult question, honestly.
Mm.
And the reason why it's difficult is because there's so many things that you physically can't do right now.
Yeah.
But I don't like giving information that I feel is not really going to work per
Yeah.
se.
Yeah.
But don't be silent. You have to tell
Mm.
someone, you have to report. I think is the most important thing. And
Mm.
I can only speak specifically for Zimbabwe because I'm also very involved in gender-based violence response right now.
Yeah.
And so there are all these posters, all
Mm.
these infographics circulating on social media with information
Yeah.
for lawyers,
Mm.
counselors, medical service providers, things like that. And I
Yeah.
think that if you're in that kind of situation, just contact someone as long
Mm.
as you can. The problem right now, I think, is, the feasibility of it all. If
Mm.
in an ordinary situation, if my husband is beating me up all the time, I can go get
Yeah.
a protection order.
Mm.
And, if he violates the protection order, I can get him arrested. But I know even though it was said that domestic violence are emergency issues at court, the
Mm.
police are not taking them like that right now.
Yeah.
And even the course themselves, we actually tested it out, and my boss went and represented a client, and they got an interim protection order, but it only works if you can always have a shelter. But shelters aren't really opening up to people easily
Yeah.
because they don't have facilities to test for COVID. So they don't know if they're going to bring you with your COVID or expose everybody in
Yeah.
the camps and stuff like that. So there's a reluctance there as well.
Also, how do you actually give
How do you,
help
yeah,
when you can't give practical advice? Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. And you can always report to the police, and hopefully in Zimbabwe they will assist you. But if you're in Zimbabwe, it's better to physically go to the police station, as you know, than
Yeah.
to call them because they
Mm.
don't have transport.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Yikes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, I hope this question is kind of, it's legal based, but I'm hoping that it covers so many people. Like,
Yeah.
how do you differentiate between abuse and rough play? Like, because somebody can say, oh, this is just like I was just playing, like this is banter. So if we're talking verbal abuse, somebody can say something really awful, but then say, actually, no, I was just playing. Or if we're talking physical abuse, somebody can abuse you physically and then also say, we were just playing. So how do you differentiate those things?
I think that you have to listen to the circumstances first before you can
Mm-hmm.
determine whether or not this is abusive.
Yeah.
Because I guess the thing that needs to exist is the consent there. If you guys are just play fighting,
Mm.
I don't know why people play fight. I'm not a fan. But if you guys are just play fighting, if you guys are just play fighting, okay, cool, that's fine, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. But if someone says, stop, no, I don't appreciate this, how are you receiving this information? If someone is telling you they're uncomfortable with the
Yeah.
words you said, even though you're joking, are you going to continue with the joke and keep jabbing?
Mm.
Or are you going to, fall back and maybe apologize or acknowledge that maybe this made the other person feel comfortable? So
Yeah.
I guess it's about the communication and the consent between the people. If one person is now feeling uncomfortable, then they should be in a position to say, no, look, this is
Mm.
not a joke anymore.
Yeah. And then to kind of set boundaries, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
set boundaries, which are not easy in relationships, but they have to be set just like every other relationship. If you've got an employment code
Mm.
of conduct at work, why are you not having some form of code of conduct with your relationships all around
Wow.
you?
Code of conduct in the household.
Well, it's not that formal, but I think we should know each other more. Like, this
Yeah.
is a trigger, I can't make suicide jokes to
Mm.
someone who is, suicidal. I
Yeah.
can't talk about, I can't be like, ha 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 ha, you're gonna get cancer when
Yeah.
someone's family has a history of cancer, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. So do you know one of the things that I'm loving so much about like I know this lockdown situation is not ideal for a lot of people, and there's so much sadness that comes with it, but there's also these little silver linings as well. And one of the things is like, who would have thought that I would be all the way here in the United Kingdom, you would be all the way there in Zimbabwe, and we would be sat on Instagram live with people in Zimbabwe and people in England having a chat. This is just amazing. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to bridge some gaps. So my question is, you deal with so many vulnerable people and vulnerable situations, and it's like, I think when I was reading your bio, it says that some of the services that you give are free of charge, which is just like amazing. So my question to you is, how can the people in the diaspora help to support some of the causes or some of the issues that you're facing on ground?
I think that if you want to really help, kind of research around your area of interest, or kind of read around first and see where you fit in, because I know there's so many initiatives happening. There are people who are helping during Cyclone Idai. There are people helping during COVID right now, and there's all these small little projects that people are doing. It does not always have to be you sending money. It can be you creating a connection, networking, just giving someone's contact that they can really use. It doesn't always have to be, because we know that Zimbabweans, we love so I think that's a major thing, just to kind of have information before you get yourself into anything, because you need to verify just what is going on the ground. Is it really real? Is it producing the results it says it's producing, instead of just putting all your efforts and trying to help aimlessly? I think if you really care, and if you really want to make meaningful change, you need to be very informative, or at least have some kind of information that gives you an idea of what it is you're contributing to. So that's the thing. That's the only advice I can give.
Amazing. Like, that is so good, because I think most times you hear about it, like, if you hear about, you need to help in like Zimbabwe, for example, which is like my homeland, my motherland, then you automatically think it's money. Like, the only way to support is financially. But you're right, you can create a connection, you can create an idea, or even like create a platform like this in a way like help.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I think that there's so much power in that. So Miss Resident Feminist, Miss Resident Feminist in Zimbabwe, which is like very, very African oriented in terms of culture. Yeah, we have Sika manners, right? How do you then balance your activism and being respectful?
Honestly, I would like to say I don't try to balance it in my head. The rebel in me does not want to balance anything, but I know that it's important to do that. So I want to give a very practical example. When we go to a lot of rural communities, there is a lot of protocol. You need to go to the district administrator. After that, you need to talk to the chief or the headman, or who's called a sabuku. You need to know all these people. And me being me, my politics about bodies, wear what you want, do what you want, things like that, right? But I know that if I go to Vuma rural, wearing this that I'm wearing right now, there's a little crop top going on, crop top situation happening. So if I go looking like that, I will not have access to the women I'm trying to talk to. So I pick my battle. I'm gonna wear my long skirts. I'm gonna wear my head wrap if I have to wear a head wrap. I will respect the culture of the area, because firstly, I'm not a savior. I'm not here to save, you spread the gospel of whatnot. I'm here to give information. And how do I even access these people if from the get-go I'm disrespecting their way of life by even the women themselves will not be comfortable to talk to me. So I pick my battles and I choose, and I'm always very aware of where I'm going. Different platforms I feed into the energy there instead of coming with me. I'm coming to tell you. No, doesn't
You
work.
you have to assess who
Yes,
you're
you have to
are.
assess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's really amazing.
yeah.
I hope you guys are taking notes, because the next time Daisy is gonna be speaking to people, she's gonna be charging them. She's only doing this because I'm a go-go. That's why it's free.
Exactly. Tell them. Tell them now.
But so, like, do you know what? I need to stop. This is literally what I was about to ask. Bride price. Thank you, Louiselle, because
Thank
I
you,
was literally
Louis.
about to. Yeah, because I was about to get there. Because the next thing that I was going to ask you, and it's such a topic that's trending here in the UK. Myself and 3 other good friends of mine are actually co-hosting a show called Ladies Lounge TV on Vox Africa. Which is like, it's gonna be airing on like we call it Sky TV, which is like kind of like DSTV, so it's a big deal for us. And we are talking about bride price. We're talking about bride price, and so I wanted to ask you, as somebody that is in Zimbabwe, but you are a feminist. And you also deal with all the like the law side of things. What are your takes on bride price, on Rora, on Lobola? Please share with us.
Okay. as an aside, so I really like I enjoy boxing. I don't know. I like AJ. Do you know AJ?
Yeah.
No.
Anthony.
You know,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
yes.
That was meant to be your uncle. Like, I'm just telling you.
Yes,
But
please. You're wasting
we're
time.
just still praying that God will just.
You need to do something. It's, the way I see my feminism, right, is something like, Ali. He's like, no, was it Ali? I think it was Mike Tyson. Tyson. He said, I want your heart. I want to eat its children. So for me, when I see things like Lobola, I want that. I want to take it out completely, throw it away, because, people romanticize Lobola. I kind of saw some of your, I know you've had this conversation before, you built up to it. I watched it on Facebook. So, it's easy for people to say in their own perspective, Lobola is, a thing to respect the family, culture, building families, bridging families, bringing families together. And it sounds cute, right? But it sounds cute because it's in your house or something. But for the rest of the girls and women all around Africa and in Zimbabwe, Lobola is one of the major reasons why even these gender imbalances exist, because the man is always going to say, but I paid for you, right? And this woman is going to feel that like her self-worth has to be measured by the bride price. So in Zimbabwe, what's been happening lately is because people are poor, like our generation, there's no opportunity, people aren't going to work, people end up just living together. So when they come to my office and they're talking, and maybe they want to end the relationship, they're like, but he didn't even pay for anything, he didn't pay anything for me, he doesn't even respect me. So when you look at it, look at the things that we're using this bride price for women to place as a value system for women. And some of the provisions, is she a virgin? Things like that. We're going back to policing women's bodies. Is she, what's her body count? Oh, is she educated? Already we're discriminating women as if some woman is choosing not to be educated. I'm pretty sure if that girl had an opportunity or access to education, she could have, and not just education or even opportunity in general, but already we are diminishing her worth by saying, this one, I can go, oh, sorry, she finished the grade 7, she did this, at O level, so you can't really put too much money on her. Things like that. It's not even just for people with money and people without money and things like that, even people who are rich, there's still that control. You know, even a successful woman, once a man pays for her, there's still that control. Like, don't forget that I paid.
Yeah.
So up until there comes a time when truly lobola is about bridging gaps, I think it's one of the worst things that could really happen to anyone. There's no need for anyone to pay a bride price. If we're really thanking anyone, why aren't we thanking the husband's family? That's a nice little gentleman over there, looking cute, looking fine. He even goes to the gym. Why am I also not saying thanks? Why not saying thanks?
Hey, okay. And for my potential future husband that could be watching this, I still want my lobola, but I still take everything that Danai has said on board.
Yeah,
but I completely agree with you that especially because you get to see the other side of it, where people then use it to objectify women, where people use it to, you know, like to beat up or abuse their woman and say, well, it's because I paid for you, as if she's a commodity when she's actually your whole wife. And that was
exactly
she was never meant to, like, what do they say? A woman was taken from the rib not to be trampled down upon, but to be protected, you know. So it is quite sad. And I mean, one of the things that we've seen a trend of in the diaspora is people using it for commercial benefit, for commercial gain. Like, my daughter's getting married, so this is my chance to make money, or my, you know, like, so it's quite sad. But anyway, I hope we will get there. Can you see my mom just commented and she said, I'm still going to demand lobola for you for that night.
We'll talk on the side, Gogo. We'll talk on the side.
We'll talk on the side. What we say on social media. Okay, so like, what things motivate you to keep going? Like, especially right now, like, where, so I don't know about you, but my days are cramped into one. There's no more Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's more like today, the day before that, the other day, and I can't remember, like, way back then. So like, what things are you doing to like motivate you in this time to just keep going and keep on shining the way you are?
We were talking about this yesterday. I think your timetable is a lot. It's a lot. For what keeps me going, I'm very passionate about my job. I think it's bigger than me. So I wake up every day knowing exactly what I need to do. And it's not easy, obviously. I'm not going to romanticize it. It's really hard every day going to work and knowing that someone might come and they've been raped and the story is gruesome. And some of the things I have seen are really, they put you off humans in general. You just, me and my dog, you know, but I'm really inspired by women and I care so much. And you know, also my mom is a big influence because she is very unapologetic and she writes for women. She writes about women. Most of our conversations are around feminism. Like, in general, we talk for hours about books or an idea for an article or something like that. So, you know, things like that really boost me. Plus my friends as well. I'm really surrounded by women who are like me, and I'm very grateful to have found people like that. So every day we're telling each other these things, and it's not that they do the same work as me. No, actually, some of them are really in corporate, some are in marketing, but it's just the idea behind what you're doing that motivates me, the idea behind every single thing that I do and the small changes that it's affecting and all the lessons. And it's really fun to meet women, you know, like I know so many women from around the country, and all these, you learn so many things. Someone makes a bag for you. Sometimes they invite you to your house and you're eating. It's so beautiful. So every day I really love it.
Amazing. That's so, I think honestly, I completely like echo what you're saying, because I think it's so important to have a good support system around you, because sometimes it's through other people that you find your own strength as well. And having a circle of people that hold you accountable sometimes makes you feel like you have no other choice but to, you know, get up and go, and people that are there to lift you. And that's why the beauty of a supportive family and a supportive friendship circle is so important. You touched on something earlier on when you were talking about your your drivers, and you said some of the things that you deal with are very gruesome and, you know, like can put you off people in general. So how do you put emotions aside when you're dealing with some really challenging cases in your job?
I don't put emotions aside.
Okay.
Okay, as an aside, you know, I'm a lawyer, right? So when you go into a courtroom, or you're going before a judge, or you're in a mediation, right? You're trying to settle. Lawyers, especially male lawyers, try to make you feel bad and tell you things like, don't be emotional, don't use your emotion. And I'm like, excuse me, I want to use my emotions, because these emotions fuel me. They make me connect with the person. I don't really personalize people's stories, honestly, because I've done so many, but I believe in that emotion. I believe it's important to me. It makes me connect. And it's not like I'm going to cry in front of the judge begging, please, please, please give me 50% of the house. No, I'm a professional at the end of the day. When I come there, I'm coming to make my point. I'm coming to represent my client, and I'm coming to represent her interests. But why should I put my emotions aside for you, sir? Not I, not me. I will keep my emotions and I'll defend my client.
That. I really love that. No, do you know what? I love it so much because for such a long time, women have been made to apologize for being but actually that's our engine, you know, like it's like a Lamborghini that you can't drive fast, like you can't have a high horsepower, or you can't go by fuel, when actually that's what it means to be able to drive. And like our emotions actually help us. And I always believe that it's important to be your full self. I mean, for example, even in my workplace, I find myself in boardrooms with directors, CEOs, all of those kind of people. And I'm like, do you know what? Like, I'm not going to be cold, because what I've seen is women that climb up the career trajectory, they believe in order to be to make a big impact, to be heard, they need to change themselves and be like men. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm going to continue to embody like my femininity, because it makes me who I am, and this is what the change that I need to bring is going to come with. It's going to come with me bringing my full self to work. So that's, like I completely agree. Like, and I respect the fact that you said, I don't take my emotions aside, I bring them to the table.
Yes, I do.
They really, that's amazing. So like, for somebody that's wondering like how to find their passion, because you are really, really passionate about law, you're passionate about human rights, women's rights, all of this, like how can somebody find or identify their own passion so they can live in it?
I don't really have the right answer for that, because I think that it goes back to, some people are born great, some people achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. So I guess if we're using that concept, some people already know, some people just know, you know, like I'm looking at T-Shock here. I'm pretty sure when he was a kid, he wanted to be a rapper. So he's been rapping, you know, things like that. But sometimes you have to really figure it out, and you have to figure it out by trying. There's a Shona statement that says, zviro zviedzwa chembere kwachivi yakabika mabwe ikamwa muto, right? It means try things. Like the literal translation is like, things are meant to be tried. An old woman from Chivi boiled stones and made soup, right? So try.
Just try.
For people who don't know what they want, dabble. The problem though is, you know, how everybody else is going to receive it. Because imagine you're saying today you want to be into graphic designing, tomorrow you're like, I like baking, the next day you're like, Mom, I want to go back to school. Things like that might not work out well for you in the family. But I think you really should give yourself a chance, you know. Give yourself a chance. Yeah.
Is that how you knew that law was for you? Because you tried it, or did you just always know that this is what I want to do?
I didn't know law was for me, actually. Because my mom was already a lawyer, and we already looked so alike. I was really trying to do my own thing. But I did it, and I picked what I liked from it, because you know, people think if you're a lawyer you know everything about the law, but even though I'm like a family law expert, you know, stuff like that, I don't necessarily know a lot about labor law and things like that. So it's about picking your passion. The good thing is in uni we had all these electives, so you're sampling, you do this, you do that, you do the other. And when you're picking things, you know, okay, I like this. I hate labor law. I hate labor law. So, you know, I think it's about trying, just dabbling.
About trying. Cool. Guys, we are almost coming to the end of our interview with Danai Daisy. Isn't she amazing?
Wow, that felt like it was 2 minutes.
Exactly. So this is the opportunity. If anybody has any questions, to throw them in the chat, and then Danai can answer. And then after this, like I said to you, if you have any questions for her, she's going to start charging you. Or I will charge you, because, like, you know, as family business, I'm her, exactly, like I'm her manager. So this is your opportunity to ask any questions that you have for Danai or for myself or for both of us. Whilst people are doing that, Nani, I should ask you to touch on enlighten girls education, that project that you mentioned earlier. What's in store for you in that project, so that we can keep our eyes locked to that space?
All right, so the whole crux of this platform is to inspire, right? And you inspire by information sharing. So I want to create, or I'm in the process of creating a database with mentors who are women. I am very particular about the kind of women I want to incorporate in this, because I don't want women who are women can but, women should but, limitation. This is I have a list of professional women, especially young women who are in different spheres of work. So even people who are self-employed, creatives, people who are doctors, things like that. And I will be pairing them with girls from, I've already got the school, some of the schools I've targeted. So it's kind of like matchmaking. And some of the activities involve the girls going for dates with this professional at the professional's expense, because I want you to feel like it's everybody has to play a part. I don't want it to feel like a regular, you know, donor funded project, this and that. I want it to be coming from us as Zimbabwean women. I know a lot of women want to really inspire, and they want to do all these things. So I want to keep my options open for the kind of women. And so far I just saw, can I be a mentor, please?
And that person is like one of my really, really good friends. She's a phenomenal woman. So like
I saw her in your videos.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had not thought about it being, you know, outside of Zimbabwe, but I think it's something I can explore. I just want these, you know, you don't understand the power of, you know, access, the power of information. You don't understand that. So just taking this girl to sit in your office, and you guys, and she's seeing you, you know, telling people what to do. I love that. So, you know, imagine, and she's seeing you doing all these things. Next thing you're going and you're telling this guy, no, my client will not accept. She's gonna sit there and be like, yes, this is exactly who I want to be, or this is something I'm very interested in. So those are the activities we have in store. Speed, we're gonna do a speed dating, but speed networking. Like the girls are gonna come and talk to all these women. Like they'll be like a room full of women, and then they're just going to talk to them, just so that they can know, because maybe they don't know what they want to be. They just want to find out. And I also, the major reason why I started this is for girls' education, because I believe that that is the biggest source of confidence for girls' education, right? So I want the girls to always write about women, write about how they feel about things like period poverty. You know, there are a lot of girls who don't go to school during their period because they don't have pads, and you can't go with blood trickling down your leg and stuff like that. So I want them to tell their stories and to politicize these stories, because girls need to know exactly what is going on. What is going on is that we've got an education system that we say we want quality education, but quality education when girls are spending days off of school because of pads. That's not quality education, because you're not considering the girls. Quality education in your textbooks every day. The mother is a stay-at-home mother, cooking, mom cooking, this and that, at home. What are you teaching the girls? You're teaching the girls that the only option they have in life is to be a wife. Whereas you should have these books that are telling girls, and then the engineer, and then she was a wild girl. She ran off, married some guy, found a spiritual journey. She came back. Now she started a church. Things like that. Just to capture stories and to let girls politicize their education so they can demand. At the end of the day, I don't want to be there always whispering in a girl's ear. I just want to give them enough information so they start making their own decisions from an informed perspective.
Amazing. So on the pads period poverty, I actually want to run a campaign through World Lanterns called Pads for Her, specifically tailored to young girls in Zimbabwe. So let's touch base on that, because like I would really love to see how we can navigate. I've seen a question: is child adoption easy in Zimbabwe, or does one have to go through rigorous stages to adopt a child?
Okay, I don't think child adoption is easy anyway. I think the same protocols really apply. But last time I checked, which is sometime last year, because it's not really my area of expertise, but I know some information. When social welfare was reluctant to give adoptions and stuff like that, to make people have access to adoptions, they were only doing fostering and stuff, because apparently there was a surge in people returning the kids, saying, you know how Zimbabweans, we really believe in our culture and the things that, you know, our lineage exposes us to. So they were like, this person is too naughty, too forward, too this and that. I think it's coming from whoever really birthed them. We don't really want. So they really, that's what I heard from social welfare. Like I was speaking to people from the Department of Social Welfare, and they were saying, we don't really want, we don't want to open it up, but I'm pretty sure you can, though, because it's just a matter of making an application. You need to make an application to the Children's Court for adoption, and they will have to do a background check on you. You need to have a safe space for the child to live, right? You need to actually show the conducive environment, because they're looking at the best interest of the child. What is motivating you to adopt this child? What are you going to offer this child? Are you gainfully employed? Do you have any financial stability to be able to take care of this child? All these things are important, and if you can meet those requirements, I'm pretty sure you can get a child, but it will take long. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done.
Amazing. So I'm just going to rush through some of the other questions as well, because I know our time is almost finished. There's a question that says, how can a young feminist earn money by writing feminist themed pieces?
You'd have to go on the internet for that. You need to look for opportunities on the internet that are paying opportunities. You need to be specific about, you know, where you're targeting your content. But even if you're not being paid, I'm not saying that you should be grateful for not being paid, but you can still churn out content in general, so that if somebody's going to take a chance on you, they already see what you're capable of doing. So do you already have content floating about the internets? If not, babes, people are not going to want, you know, oh, Equality Fund is paying for feminist pieces right now. So you can join that.
Okay, perfect. Well, oh my gosh, Danai, it's been amazing having you on the show. I might have to ask you to come back and speak some more. And because I'm your gogo, you can't say no.
I will not say no. I'm very easy.
Yay, exactly. But I'm really hoping everybody took something from today's session. And I just want to take this opportunity once more to say thank you for honoring the invite and coming to inspire us. I am going to definitely watch this over and take my own notes because everybody else got an opportunity to, but I was busy playing hostess with the mostess. So for anyone that wants to watch this over again or wants to share this with loved ones and friends, this is going to be available on YouTube in the next 2 days. But in the interim, you've got 24 hours to watch the live video before it disappears from my Instagram live or from Daisy's Instagram live. But yeah, and then after that, it will be on YouTube. And by God's grace, Daisy will be back again, dropping them gems. We are back here on Nashe's Corner Live next week, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. GMT or British Standard Time. And next week, we have a Zimbabwean artist, actually, hopefully, that's changing up the game in the music industry. So watch this space. But anyways, guys, have a good evening. Danai, thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this beautiful platform. I really enjoyed it.
Amazing. Thank you. Keep shining. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Love you, Gogo. I see you. In the comments.
Take care. Bye, guys. We have 13 minutes, so keep showing that love. It's gonna like drop off very soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this week's episode on Nashe's Corner, where we were joined by the lovely Daisy Danai Chirawu. Wasn't she amazing? So listen, if you want to hear more and if you want to stay in the loop of what's to come, make sure you click the like button, subscribe, and make sure you comment. I want to hear your feedback, and tell a friend to tell a friend. We're really dropping wisdom nuggets here on Nashe's Corner, and we want to know what you want to hear about. Have a good day. God bless you. I love you, but God loves you more. Flaws and all. Bye.